my siblings said. You're the oldest, but that doesn't mean you get the final say. They split our parents' belongings without telling me. A week later, I sent an email with one attachment, our father's video will. The opening line made them all go silent when he said, "Let me tell you how my own family stabbed me in the back when I was at my lowest. It all started after our dad died." We're from Springfield, Missouri, a small town where everyone knows everyone, and I always thought we were close. I'm the oldest, 38 years old, then there's my brother Darren, 36, and my sister Melissa, 33. We had our fights growing up, but I never thought it'd come to this. Dad had been sick for a while, so when he finally passed, I was heartbroken. I took a week off work to grieve and help out with funeral arrangements. I thought my siblings would do the same. We talked a little over the phone after the funeral, and they kept saying, "Take your time, we'll figure everything out together." But when I went back to our family home a week later, the place was almost empty. Dad's recliner gone. The old photo albums? Vanished. Mom's jewelry, Dad's watch, the china set, the antique clock that had been in our family for years, all missing. I just stood there in shock, looking at the bare walls. I called Darren and Melissa right away. Darren sounded casual when he picked up. "Oh yeah, we went through the house a few days ago. Figured it was best to get it over with." I was stunned. "Without me?" Melissa cut in on the group chat. "Well, you're the oldest, but that doesn't mean you get the final say on everything. We have a right to Dad's stuff too." I couldn't believe it. They just went through everything like I didn't even exist. No calls. No texts. They didn't wait for me to grieve, they just swept in like vultures. I felt my stomach twist. The audacity. I hung up without saying much, too angry to even think straight. I went back to my apartment, seething. For the next couple of days, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how they just tore through our parents' belongings without a word. It wasn't just stuff, it was memories. That's when I remembered something. A few months back, Dad had asked me to come over and help him with some tech stuff. He wasn't great with computers, so I helped him set up his laptop, and he told me, "I've got something important I'm working on. Just in case." At the time, I didn't think much of it, but it clicked in my head now. I dug through the files on his old computer that I had taken home with me, and sure enough, there was a folder labeled, "For my kids." Inside was a single video file. Final wishes. I sat there staring at the screen for a while. I hesitated to open it, like I wasn't ready to hear his voice again. But I had to know. So I clicked play. There he was. Dad, sitting in his old armchair, wearing that flannel shirt he always wore, looking straight at the camera. His voice was steady, but you could see the pain on his face. "If you're watching this," he started, "then I'm not around anymore. I want to make sure you know exactly what I want. I don't want any fights, no bad blood. So listen carefully." My heart was racing. I listened to every word. Dad was clear. He didn't want us splitting up the estate like a free-for-all. He had specific wishes. He named items that should go to each of us. Darren was supposed to get Dad's fishing gear because they used to go on trips together. Melissa was to get Mom's jewelry, but Dad also said she was supposed to use it to help fund her kids' college someday. And I was supposed to have the family home, the home they just emptied out without me. But the most important thing? Dad said we were supposed to go through the house together, room by room, to decide what went where. No one was supposed to take anything without everyone agreeing. I sat there shaking. I couldn't believe how they had disrespected Dad's last wishes, how they had disrespected me. I felt like I couldn't breathe. So I did what I had to do. I drafted an email to Darren and Melissa with the subject line, "Dad's final wishes, watch this." I didn't say anything else. Just attached the video and sent it. I waited. No response that day. The next day, I got a text from Melissa. "We need to talk." Darren didn't say a word. So I told them to meet me at the family house. I didn't care if they wanted to or not. We were going to have this conversation face to face. When we all met up, the tension was thick. Darren avoided eye contact, and Melissa looked like she'd been crying. I set up the laptop in the living room, the same one they'd emptied out, and played the video. Dad's voice filled the room. I watched their faces as they heard him say, "This house is for my oldest, my firstborn, who I trust to keep it in the family. And I want you three to go through my things together, as a family. Don't let grief tear you apart." When the video ended, it was silent. You could hear a pin drop. Darren looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Melissa just stared at the floor, her hands clenched tight. I sat there, waiting for someone to speak. No one did. Not yet. Nobody said a damn word for what felt like forever. I just sat there, watching them squirm in their seats, waiting for someone to take responsibility. Finally, I leaned forward and said it plain. "So you went behind my back. You took what you wanted. And you ignored what Dad wanted." Darren spoke first, but his voice was low, like he knew he was caught. "We didn't know. We didn't think. You didn't think?" I cut him off. "Or you didn't care?" Melissa's eyes welled up, but I wasn't about to let tears get her out of this. "We thought we were doing the right thing," she said, her voice shaking. "We thought you'd take over everything like you always do. You're the oldest, but that doesn't mean you get to decide for everyone." I stared at her, trying to process what she just said. This wasn't about fairness. This was about control. You didn't want to follow Dad's wishes because you didn't want me to have a say. Darren tried to backtrack. "Look, we'll make it right. We'll figure it out." I shook my head, feeling my anger simmer just under the surface. "It's too late for that. You already split up his stuff like it was a garage sale. You didn't even wait for me to grieve." Melissa sniffled, wiping her face. "We can give the stuff back." But I wasn't finished. I pulled out a notebook and slammed it on the table. "No. We're going to list everything you took, everything. Then we'll figure out how to make this right. But I'm not just letting this slide. You disrespected me, and you disrespected Dad." They sat there, both quiet now. Darren looked pissed, like he wanted to argue, but he knew he couldn't. Melissa just nodded, her face red. That's when I said it, the thing that's been eating at me ever since I found the video. "You know what hurts the most? Dad trusted us to do this right. He trusted me to look after both of you. And you didn't even give me the chance." Melissa's lip trembled, but she stayed quiet. Darren leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling like he was avoiding the weight of what I just said. I looked at both of them and said, "You're going to bring every damn thing back, every piece of furniture, every photo, every keepsake. We're going to put it all back in this house. And then we're going to do what Dad asked? Together. Room by room." Melissa nodded slowly. Darren let out a breath, like he knew the fight was over. But in the pit of my stomach, I knew it wasn't. Because they still hadn't told me everything. For the next few days, Darren and Melissa trickled back into the house with boxes. I watched them carry in Mom's jewelry box, the old photo albums, Dad's favorite watch, piece by piece, like thieves returning stolen goods under the cover of guilt. But as I watched them unpack everything, something didn't feel right. I knew Dad had a collection of rare coins. He kept them in a small wooden box in the top drawer of his dresser. That box never showed up. Neither did the set of old hunting rifles Dad kept in the gun cabinet. I asked Darren, straight up, "Where's Dad's coin collection?" He shifted in his seat. "What collection?" I stared at him, cold. "The one he kept in his dresser. The one we all knew about." Melissa's eyes went wide. She looked at Darren, and it was like a silent alarm went off. I pressed harder. "Don't play stupid with me. Where is it?" Darren's jaw tightened, and for a second, I thought he was going to lie again. Then he just said it, low and flat. "I sold it." I swear, the room went dead silent. I leaned in, my hands flat on the table. You sold Dad's coins? He nodded, barely looking at me. I needed the money. Things have been tight. And I figured, well, we're splitting everything, right? That was it. I lost it. You what? That was Dad's collection. He kept it for years. He wanted it to stay in the family. You didn't even ask? You just took it? Melissa looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Darren, you didn't tell me that. Darren shrugged, like it wasn't a big deal. It's done. I can't get it back. That's when I realized they weren't just careless, they were greedy. Melissa tried to calm things down. We can work this out. Let's just, no. I snapped. You don't get to smooth this over. Darren stole from all of us. From Dad. And you. I pointed at Melissa. You stood by and let it happen. Her eyes filled with tears again. I didn't know. But I didn't believe her. Not completely. That night, I stayed up thinking about what else they took. I started going through photos of the house before they cleared it out, comparing them to what they brought back. I made a list. The missing coin collection. The missing guns. The antique pocket watch from Grandpa. And Dad's military medals gone. I realized they hadn't just been careless. They had planned this. Darren, especially. The next day, I told them we were meeting again. This time, I wasn't playing around. I told them to bring any receipts, any proof of what they sold, and where the money went. Darren showed up empty-handed. Melissa had a folder with a few things, but not much. I laid it all out, the missing items, the lies, the disrespect. Darren just sat there, arms crossed, looking angry, not sorry. Finally I asked, "How much did you make off Dad's stuff?" He wouldn't answer. Melissa shifted in her chair, then muttered, "About $12,000. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. 12 grand. They sold off our family's memories for 12 grand. I sat there, breathing hard, feeling the anger boil up in me. Then I said it, plain and clear. You're going to pay that back. Every last dollar. Darren scoffed. Or what? I stared at him, my voice low. Or I take this to the lawyer. And the police. His face paled. Melissa gasped. And that's when I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because I had something they didn't know about yet. Dad's lawyer. Dad's real will. And they were about to find out just how bad they'd screwed up. I called Dad's lawyer the next morning. His name was Frank Miller, an old family friend, the kind of guy who never minced words. I told him everything. How my siblings raided the house, sold Dad's things, split it up without me, and ignored Dad's final wishes. Frank wasn't surprised. I figured something like this might happen, he said. Your dad left a formal will with me. It's airtight. I felt my pulse race. Can you send it over? I asked. He agreed. A few hours later, I had it in my hands, Dad's official, legal will. When I read it, my jaw hit the floor. Everything Dad had said in the video? It was backed up in writing. The family home? Left to me, specifically. The coin collection, the guns, the antiques? All listed, all supposed to stay in the family, never to be sold. And the kicker? Any sale of Dad's items without proper agreement from all three of us would be considered theft under Missouri law. Frank told me I had a strong case if I wanted to press charges. He even offered to represent me pro bono if it came to that. I thought about it for a day. I didn't want to drag the family name through the mud, but Darren and Melissa had crossed a line. They hadn't just made a mistake, they'd been sneaky, selfish, and dishonest. So I called another family meeting. This time, I printed out copies of the will. I laid them down in front of Darren and Melissa at the dining table of the family home, the house they had tried to strip bare. Melissa's hands shook as she read it. Darren's face twisted in rage, like a cornered animal. This isn't fair, he snapped. Dad didn't mean, Dad meant exactly what he wrote down, I said, my voice cold. And you sold off his stuff behind my back. That's theft, Darren. You know it. And Melissa, you let it happen. You're both in this mess. Darren's hands clenched into fists on the table. So what now? You going to have us arrested? I leaned in, staring him down. That depends on you. You have 30 days to pay back every cent of what you stole. $12,000 plus the value of what can't be returned. And if we don't? Darren sneered. I didn't blink. Then I pressed charges. I've already spoken to Dad's lawyer. You'll face felony theft charges. And Melissa? You too. Accessory to theft. Melissa gasped. Darren turned pale. You think I won't do it? I said, my voice steady. Try me. That was the moment they broke. Darren slumped back in his chair, defeated. Melissa burst into tears, sobbing into her hands. I don't have the money, Darren muttered, his voice barely a whisper. Then figure it out, I said. Sell your car, your boat, I don't care. You have 30 days. They tried to beg, tried to guilt me, but I was done. For once, I wasn't the big brother bailing them out. I was the executor of Dad's will, and I was going to make sure his final wishes were respected. 30 days later, Darren wired me the money, every last dollar. I made sure Melissa paid her share too, from her savings. I also filed paperwork with the lawyer to officially enforce the will, making sure nothing like this could happen again. But I wasn't finished yet. I took a copy of Dad's video will, the legal documents, and a summary of what had happened, and I sent it out to the rest of the family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone. I wanted the whole family to know exactly what Darren and Melissa had done. The fallout was brutal. Family members cut them off. No one invited them to Christmas that year. Darren's reputation around town took a hit. People stopped doing business with him. Melissa's husband? Furious. He didn't know she'd been part of it, and it nearly wrecked their marriage. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The damage was done. They tried to take what wasn't theirs. They thought they could sweep it under the rug. But I made sure the truth came out, and I made sure they paid the price. Dad's house is still in the family, just like he wanted. And every time I walk through those halls, I remember exactly why I fought so hard to make it right. Family doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't have loyalty and respect. And sometimes, family is the first to stab you in the back. But if they do, you make damn sure they never forget the lesson.